Welcome to the Story Behind Clue Series. In every episode of this series, we talk about the history of one of the original weapons used in the game Clue. This series may not be appropriate for all ages, and listener discretion is advised.
Did you ever wonder why it's tradition to blow out candles on your birthday? It actually goes back to the ancient Greeks and burning candles in religious ceremonies, including to pay tribute to the goddess Artemis, who is associated with the moon. They baked cakes to symbolize the shape of the moon and added candles to represent moonlight. Though cakes are delicious, they can't really be used as a weapon for murder, but another candle holder can. I'm your host, Emily Prokop, and this is the story behind the candlestick.
But first, a quick message.
Are you a fan of podcasts? Of course you are. Why not take the 2 Pods a Day challenge all through the month of August by listening to 2 new podcasts every day? And if you need suggestions, follow the number 2 Pods a Day on Twitter or visit 2podsaday.wordpress.com. And thank you to Josh Hallmark from 2 Pods a Day for featuring the story behind as one of the suggestions this month. Listen more, listen indie. For as long as candles have been around, so have candlesticks pretty much. There's not much to say about their history, but there are 2 fun words to know that might come in handy for bar trivia sometime. The first is bobèche, which is a cup or ring around the top of a candlestick that catches the dripping wax. The second is a pricket, which is the sharp point on larger candlesticks used to keep the candle in place. Candles themselves have been around for more than 5,000 years, starting with ancient Egyptians making them with reeds and animal fat. And the Romans were known for dipping rolled papyrus in tallow or beeswax to create the first wicked candle. But, oh my goodness, once I started digging into the history of candles, I realized they needed their own episode, so look for that in the future. But we'll just stick to their holders for this episode. One of the most recognized candle holder is the menorah, a candelabra with either 7 or 9 branches and a symbol of Israel. The word menorah is Hebrew for light, and in the book of Isaiah is said to be a light unto the nations. The 7-branch menorah is used in Jewish temples, while the 9-branched menorahs are used during Hanukkah. The candelabra is also one of the signature props for none other than Liberace. He was an avid collector of them, and having one sit atop his piano at concerts was non-negotiable. The obsession started when he saw the movie A Song to Remember about Chopin, and noticed the composer always had a candelabra. He decided to make it part of his shtick.
I went out to a little antique shop and bought a brass candelabra for $15 and a quarter's worth of candles and put it up on the piano that evening when I did my act. After that, whenever I opened somewhere, reviewers commented on the candelabra.
That was the first in a long line of candelabras the musician would go on to collect. He went so far as having mini candelabras on at least one of his cars, most notably his Zimmer Golden Spirit. And for you grammar lovers out there, candelabra used to be the plural of the word candelabrum, but is now used more frequently as both the singular and the plural. You would think with all this talk of candlesticks, candelabras, and candles, this would be the perfect episode for flames. Nope, not yet. When Mr. Body passed out weapons in the beginning of the movie, the candlestick was given to Miss Scarlet,
1 + 2 + 1 + 1.
who was being blackmailed for bribing cops to keep quiet about her establishment, providing young ladies as escorts. But I'm not going to go into the story behind one of the oldest professions, but candlesticks play another risque part in another art form, nursery rhymes. Namely, rub-a-dub-dub. Sounds like good, clean fun, right? Well, not quite.
Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. And how do you think they got there? The butcher, the baker, and candlestick maker. It was enough to make a man stare.
That's the version many know. But what if I told you the original version was about a peep show from the 1400s? Here's the original version.
Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 maids in a tub. And who do you think were there? The butcher, the baker, and candlestick maker. And all of them gone to the fair.
Peep shows began innocently enough. Artists and entertainers began traveling with wooden boxes acting as their scenery and stage, and patrons would pay to peep through the holes to watch the performance. What happens with every new form of media? We find a way to use it for adult entertainment, which is what happened with peep shows, and the innocent shows were replaced with more scandalous entertainment. Now, imagine this nursery rhyme as a tabloid. What it supposedly depicted were 3 ladies in one of these peep show boxes taking a bath, while 3 upstanding men of the town, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, were caught at one of these shows. In this instance, Mother Goose was the Perez Hilton of 15th century Europe.
He had threatened to kill me in public. Why would he want to kill you in public?
The Clue Series Butler you heard at the beginning of the episode was played by Paul from Rick and Paul Heal the World. Miss Scarlet imitations provided by Amy from the podcast Ladies Love Paul Rudd. The role of Liberace was played by Craig from the Altar podcast, and Rub-a-Dub-Dub was read by Heather from her new podcast, Sunshine and Power Cuts, about her life off-grid. If you'd like to add your voice to the podcast, join the Story Behind discussion group on Facebook to be notified when I'm looking for guest voices for the show. Information for this episode was sourced from NPR, the book Pop Goes the Weasel, The Secret Meanings of Nursery Rhymes, and the book Liberace, An American Boy, and more links which can be found in the show notes at thestorybehindpodcast.com. This episode was brought to you by the Story Behind executive producers who support the show through the Patreon page: Stargate Pioneer, Matt from the One Word Go Show, Sam Dunn, and History Goes Bump. Thanks for listening.